Across the world, hidden in mountains, jungles, and valleys, there are places that seem to whisper secrets from the past. They look mysterious, almost magical, and for centuries people have told stories about them. Stories of portals, gods, and forgotten civilizations. But when we look closely through the lens of archaeology and science, a different picture appears. A picture that is no less fascinating, but grounded in real history and the slow, patient power of nature. Let us begin high in the Andes of South America. In the Puno region of southern Peru, near the deep blue waters of Lake Titicaca, lies a massive stone carving known as Puerta de Hayumarca, the Gate of the Gods. At first glance, it looks like a doorway cut into a sandstone cliff, 7 meters tall and 7 meters wide, with sharp, symmetrical lines and a small alcove carved in its base. The sheer size of the carving makes it striking, and it immediately sparks the imagination. For local people, the site has always held cultural and spiritual importance. But what does science tell us? Archaeologists who study the site believe it was carved by pre-Incan cultures sometime between 200 BC and 1000 AD. It was most likely used in ceremonies, representing a symbolic passage between the world of the living and the world of the spirits. Many Indian cultures created such sacred spaces to honor their gods and ancestors, using stone as a bridge between the earthly and the divine. There is no evidence that it was ever a working doorway or a technological portal. Instead, it stands as a testimony to the skill of ancient stoneworkers and the importance of spiritual symbolism in Andean life. Standing before it today, one can feel the scale of the Andes stretching behind it, the wind moving through the mountains, and the connection that ancient people must have felt between earth and sky. From the thin mountain air of Peru, we now travel to the humid jungles of northeastern Thailand, where a site called Naga Cave has captured worldwide attention. Inside Phu Lanka National Park, hidden among dense forests and steep trails, lies a rock formation unlike any other. The walls of the cave ripple with patterns that look exactly like the scales of a giant serpent. When photos of the cave first spread online in 2020, they created a sensation. Many wondered how such perfect patterns could form in nature. For local people, the resemblance to the Naga, a mythical serpent from Buddhist and Hindu traditions, was undeniable. But once again, science offers an explanation. Geologists have studied the site and determined that the patterns were formed over at least 100,000 years. Changes in temperature caused the sandstone to expand and contract, creating natural cracks. Over time, rainwater seeped into these cracks, slowly eroding the rock and widening them into diamond-shaped ridges. The result is a natural masterpiece, one that looks so deliberate it is easy to mistake for human art. Walking through Naga Cave is an unforgettable experience. The path to reach it is steep and challenging, with rope-assisted climbs and narrow passages. But when you finally stand before the patterned walls, it feels as though you are standing beside a creature frozen in stone. The imagination sees a serpent, science sees erosion. Both perspectives make the cave one of the most extraordinary places in Thailand. Not far from Naga Cave, another natural wonder lies waiting. In Bumcan Province, inside Phu Sing National Park, rises Three Whale Rock, or Hin Sam Wan. From the ground, the rocks appear as enormous slabs of sandstone, but from above, the view is astonishing. 3 massive rocks stretch across the green forest canopy, shaped so precisely that they look like a family of whales swimming together. One rock resembles the mother whale, another the father, and a smaller one the baby whale. Scientists estimate that these formations are about 75 million years old, dating back to the late Cretaceous period when dinosaurs still roamed the earth. Over millions of years, tectonic movements lifted layers of sandstone, while wind and rain slowly sculpted their smooth, whale-like shapes. Today, visitors can climb the rocks and walk along their backs. The stone surface feels warm underfoot, heated by the tropical sun, while far below, the dense jungle spreads endlessly in every direction. To the east, the Mekong River glitters in the distance like a silver ribbon, and beyond it lie the misty mountains of Laos. At sunrise and sunset, the view becomes even more magical. as golden light bathes the rocks and the forest below. For hikers and travelers, it is more than a destination. It is a reminder of how patient and powerful nature is, sculpting landscapes over millions of years into forms that stir the human imagination. Together, these three sites, the Gate of the Gods in Peru, Naga Cave in Thailand, and Three Whale Rock nearby, show us how mystery and science meet. Human imagination often adds myths and legends to explain the unusual, but the reality behind these places is just as extraordinary. Ancient people carved stone to connect with their gods and ancestors. Natural forces shaped rock into patterns and forms so striking they resemble creatures of myth, whether carved by human hands or sculpted by wind and rain. These sites prove that history and nature hold endless wonders. Mystery does not always need the supernatural. Sometimes the truth is even more inspiring. From the forests of Thailand, we travel across the world to East Asia, where ancient China holds some of the most puzzling and awe-inspiring sites ever discovered. China's history is thousands of years deep, yet beneath the famous Great Wall and the Terracotta Army lie places that raise more questions than answers. Near the city of Nanjing lies the Yangshan Quarry, an unfinished monument that speaks of impossible ambition. Here rests a single colossal stone block, carved directly from the mountain, weighing an estimated 16,000 tons. To put this in perspective, it is more than 13 times heavier than the largest stone ever moved at Baalbek in Lebanon, one of the heaviest known megaliths in the world. The stone was cut with precision, complete with protruding knobs whose purpose is still debated. Archaeologists believe the block was intended for use in a giant Ming Dynasty mausoleum, but the project was abandoned, perhaps because moving such a massive stone proved impossible. The question remains, how did ancient workers even attempt such a task? With the tools available at the time, the site stands as silent proof of human effort that reached beyond practical limits. Not far from here lies one of China's greatest mysteries, the Longyu Caves. Discovered accidentally in 1992 when villagers drained what they thought were bottomless ponds. The caves revealed 24 enormous underground chambers carved entirely by hand. Each chamber is massive, with flat ceilings, high walls, and uniform chisel marks etched into every surface. No historical record mentions their construction. No evidence shows where the millions of cubic meters of rock that were removed ended up. Archaeologists remain puzzled. Who built them, how, and for what purpose? Some suggest they were storage chambers, others that they were ceremonial halls, but no explanation fits perfectly. Standing inside, one feels a strange silence, the echo of human effort from a time now completely forgotten. China's mysteries do not end there. In 1986, workers in Sichuan province uncovered what became known as the Sangxing site. Archaeologists digging here unearthed an astonishing collection of artifacts, massive bronze masks, with exaggerated eyes and ears, golden scepters, jade carvings, and sculptures unlike anything else in known Chinese history. The style of these artifacts is so different from traditional Chinese culture that scholars believe the Sangxing civilization developed separately, possibly isolated from the rest of ancient China. The discovery challenges the idea of a single continuous cultural history, suggesting instead that ancient China is home to diverse and advanced civilizations, whose stories are still waiting to be uncovered. Even more striking are the pyramids of China. Over 200 pyramid-like structures are scattered across the landscape, many hidden beneath soil and vegetation. Some are small burial mounds, but others are massive, rivaling the size of Egyptian pyramids. The most famous, often referred to as the White Pyramid of Xi'an, is said by early observers to stand over 300 meters high, taller than the Great Pyramid of Giza. Today, many of these pyramids are off limits to excavation as they are protected heritage sites. Satellite images reveal that many are aligned with cardinal points, showing advanced astronomical knowledge. Although myths claim alien origins, archaeology confirms these are ancient tombs built by early dynasties, a reminder of the architectural ambition of China's forgotten rulers. Leaving China behind, we move westward to Turkey, where the land is filled with traces of ancient empires. High above the valleys of Kurin province, carved into a steep cliff face, stands the Kapalakaya rock tomb, built in the 2nd century BC during the Hellenistic period. The tomb is a striking monument dedicated to a commander named Aegios. The tomb sits 65 meters above the valley floor, cut directly into the rock wall, with a massive doorway and steps leading up. Above the entrance, the name of Aegios is still visible even after more than 2,000 years. Inside, niches carved into the walls were designed to hold the remains of the dead. While legends speak of hidden treasures and tunnels stretching into the earth, historians see it as a remarkable example of craftsmanship and devotion, where stone was used to honor the memory of the departed. The location itself is dramatic. Winds sweep across the cliffs, and the view stretches far into the distance, reminding us that ancient builders did not only think of function, but of symbolism and setting. Finally, we arrive in the highlands of Ecuador, where the Cochasqui pyramids rise above the landscape at an altitude of 3,100 meters. Unlike the pointed pyramids of Egypt, these are flat-topped, truncated pyramids built by the Karanqui people between the 10th and 16th centuries. There are 15 pyramids and 21 burial mounds spread across more than 80 hectares. Some pyramids rise over 20 meters high, with stone ramps and platforms oriented toward the sun and stars. Archaeologists believe they were used as ceremonial centers and as precise astronomical observatories. From here, the Karanqui could track solstices, equinoxes, and lunar cycles, aligning their lives and agriculture with the movements of the heavens. Standing among the grassy mounds today, surrounded by views of snow-capped Andean volcanoes, it is possible to imagine how powerful these structures must have been in their prime. They remind us that ancient peoples did not simply survive in their environments. They studied the sky, measured time, and built monuments that reflected both their knowledge and their beliefs. From the massive unfinished stones of China to its hidden pyramids, from Turkey's cliffside tombs to Ecuador's sky-high observatories, these sites carry the same message as those in Peru and Thailand. The past is never silent, whether through stone carved by human hands or mountains shaped by nature. History continues to speak to us, and the more we study, the more we realize that our ancestors were not primitive or simple. They were builders, thinkers, and dreamers who left behind clues in stone, waiting for us to listen.